right, Pasadenans and heroes from everywhere. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, here for RabbiChat, sponsored by Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming holidays of Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. These are two, I'll say more modern holidays because they are of recent providence, relatively speaking, in the Jewish world, but they are nonetheless holy days, which have been incorporated into our Jewish holiday cycle throughout the year, just like Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah and Passover. They are a fixture in the Jewish calendar. We're going to be talking about where these holidays came from, why we celebrate, how they are celebrated, and I'll answer your questions about these days or anything else Jewish or Jewish in just a moment. If you are a part of the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center community, if you are curious about Judaism, whether you are Jewish or not, you are in the right place, and I'm excited to learn with you. We got a little background noise today, and I'll explain that in just a second. It's worthwhile, trust me, and we'll be getting started right after this brief musical interlude. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, it is me, John, it is I. It is me, it is I. Little grammar lesson there. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, here with Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. This is our twice weekly live show, RabbiChat, and I'm delighted to be here with you. This is a place where we can get together, whether you're tuning in from YouTube Live on the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center YouTube page, or Facebook Live on our PJTC Facebook page, or if you follow us on Twitch, my personal favorite platform, but you do you. You can find us on Twitch at, go to twitch.tv/Pasadena Jewish, and you will find us there. I'm going to go check out the multi-chat because people are joining us from all sorts of platforms. And in just a second, we're going to be talking about the Jewish holidays of Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. You might hear a little bit of background noise here today. We have a new member of our household. Her name is Callie Carrier, and she is a German Shepherd puppy who's about 2 months old, and all the fun that comes with that. So excited to see my friend Nawa64 and my friend D. Willexon and my friend Kay Dixie are here. We have some people on Twitch, some people on YouTube. Kay Dixie is on Twitch as well. And so really happy to see you here. Nawa64 says, Mazel Tov at the new addition of our household. When you got a puppy in the house and a couple of kids in the house, it's hard to have perfect quiet. So you may hear a little bit of background noise. That's okay with me. I hope it's okay with you. And we'll see if we can get through this. But if somebody, this is where we have some very holy topics to discuss today. But if somebody shouts out, she just peed, now you know why. So, this is probably should rate this PG instead of G because things happen in the house. And so really glad that you are here with us today. So my name's John. I'm a rabbi over at PJTC. I like to answer whatever questions people have, but I also like to start with a main topic. So I'm going to teach a little bit about these Jewish holidays that are coming up next week. They start Monday night and go through Monday night till Tuesday night, and then Tuesday night until Wednesday night. And these are Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. Zikaron means remembrance or commemoration, so it's the day of remembrance. And Atzmaut means independence or establishment or independence. And that's a day that marks the signing of the declaration of the establishment of the state of Israel. It's a little bit like Independence Day here in America, because Independence Day it commemorates the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which established the United States. It's often called Israeli Independence Day, but the technical title, I believe, is the day of the. It's not the Declaration of Independence because we weren't a colony of anybody else. It's the Declaration of the Establishment of the State of Israel. That was signed in 1948 on May 14th, which happened to be the 5th of ER. This is the new month that starts over this Thursday and Shabbat. So we're entering the month of Iyar. On the 5th day of Iyar, we mark the independence of the state of Israel because it was signed on the 5th of Iyar. What's interesting to me, and I hope to you, is that even though a lot of the, let's say, the official business of the state of Israel is done according to the global calendar, we might call it the secular calendar, even though it was established by Pope Gregory a few hundred years ago of the Catholic Church, and so it's technically the Gregorian calendar. So most of the business of the state of Israel goes by that calendar that the rest of the world largely follows for business and official documents and things like that. But they made the decision that the establishment of the state of Israel was a holy occasion. It was the fulfillment of dreams and prayers for a couple of thousand years just about before it happened. And so they said, we're going to make this a holy day like the other holidays on the Jewish calendar. And let's see. And so we're going to make this, we're going to put it on the Hebrew calendar. We're not going to, and so what that means for the secular calendar is it kind of floats back and forth a little bit. But it's every year on the 5th of Iyar mostly. And I'll get to that here in a second because sometimes it changes to a different day in Iyar. So that's Yom HaAtzmaut. That starts on Tuesday night this year in the year of the Gregorian calendar 2020. And so that'll be, I believe, the evening of April 28th, if I've got my dates straight. So in the beginning of the State of Israel, they would have, during the Israel Independence Day festivities, for the first couple of years, they would also have a moment of commemoration of people who had died in the military service of Israel, and they would do that during Independence Day. But after a couple of years, the families of those who had fallen, who were observing this day, said, it doesn't. We want to celebrate along with everybody else. This should be a day of celebration, and yet we have this solemnity to observe. We have the fallen to honor. Is it possible for us to carve out a separate day for that so that that can have its own day of pure honor and we can celebrate independence in a day of pure celebration? And so Yom HaZikaron was established, and that was set to be the day before Independence Day, right? So first we establish Independence Day on the 5th of Iyar, and then we establish Yom HaZikaron on the 4th day of Iyar. So some of my friends are saying, Vit Yermalowitz on Facebook is saying, or excuse me, on YouTube is saying, Twitch looks a little weird today. This happens. Not every platform is going to be good every single day, but I want to make sure we're going out on as many different platforms as can serve our community. So from early on, we established that we have two different days, one for memorial and one for celebrating independence. And as I was saying before, Independence Day is mostly on Iyar the 5th, and Yom HaZikaron, Remembrance Day or Memorial Day, is mostly on the 4th. Why? What's with all the mostlies, Rabbi? I'm glad you asked. So the thing with the mostlies is that it was established, when this holiday was established, they decided it shouldn't happen on, neither of these 2 days should happen on Shabbat, because and I'm not knocking it, big fan of Shabbat, but Shabbat comes with a lot of extra, let's say, rules and regulations and things that might limit public celebration. I mean, this was a day, for Independence Day, this was a day of concerts, right? This was a day of celebration, barbecues, what have you. This is like you want to have a big party on this day. It's nice if you can, put concerts on TV and things like that and watch sort of state broadcasts of independent celebrations. And same with Yom HaZikaron. On Yom HaZikaron, they have television programs where I've heard different stories about this. I haven't seen this myself because I wasn't there during this holiday. But what they would do is they would over the course of the day, over the course of that 24 hours, they would list the names of everyone who had fallen in service to the Israeli army. And also it includes a memorial to people who had perished in terrorist attacks. So their names are listed as well. And they would list those names on television with a picture of somebody, so everybody gets honored for at least a few seconds. They would go one by one. And many people in Israel don't watch television on Shabbat. And so it was decided that they would move those days around if they coincided with Shabbat. So if either, let's say if Yom HaZikaron, the first of those 2 days, would fall on the 4th of Iyar would fall on Shabbat, which would happen sometimes, they would move it after Shabbat. Or if the Yom HaAtzmaut, the latter day, would fall on Shabbat, they would move it earlier. This year it happens to be totally kosher. This year the 4th of Iyar and the 5th of Iyar fall on Monday night through Tuesday night, and then Tuesday night through Wednesday night, respectively. What's interesting to me, and I'm preparing sort of a communication to go out to PJTC to this effect in writing, but I wanted to note it here on the broadcast if anybody's watching. That's the thing about the live show. You get a bit of a sneak preview. What's interesting to me is that, let's say one solution they could have gone with was to split up these days. But they don't. They move them together so that the days are always together. And I want you to imagine what it might be like in the good old US of A. If you're coming in from America, I know not everybody is. My friend Vit watches from Poland. What would it be like in America? And it's just a little thought experiment. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about this, but I just wanted to have this thought experiment. What would it be like in the United States of America? Of course, we always have our Independence Day on July 4th. What if Memorial Day, instead of being the last Monday in May, was always celebrated or commemorated, rather, on July 3rd? How would having Memorial Day immediately before July 4th change the nature or the feeling around Memorial Day? And how would having Memorial Day on July 3rd maybe change the feeling around Independence Day? If you spend the entire day before Independence Day remembering people who had not only fought for the independence of America, but in every conflict and war since then to maintain that freedom, how would spending the day honoring those people change the gravity, the feeling, maybe even elevate the sense of celebration of how important our independence is? So that's my way of understanding Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. These were established long before I was born. I know there are people who I serve and learn with and am friends with today who were around when the State of Israel came into being, and what an incredible miracle that was when it happened, as it was happening. 70-some years on, I still see this as a great miracle in our time for our people and for the world. And imagine what that would feel like if you were just seeing these new holidays be born, this new state being born. Imagine what that would feel like in America if we celebrated and commemorated Memorial Day and Independence Day joined like that. So that's how I understand it from my own background and from my own perspective. Really be interested to see what kind of questions you have around this. Again, this is something I've heard. I've been marking in my own life. Haven't been in the State of Israel when those celebrations were happening. My understanding is that on Yom HaZikaron, there is, it's not a holiday. It's not a holiday in the sense that Yom Kippur is a holiday where nobody goes to work. People still go to work. The markets are, things are still open. People are driving on the streets, but there's this moment where a siren sounds and all traffic stops, whether you're riding the bus or whether you're in your car on the freeway, if you're a truck driver, if you're just in a taxi cab or whatever, all traffic comes to a stop. Everybody stops, gets out of their cars, and stands for a period of silence. What would that look like on the 405 in Los Angeles, for example? So I wanted to share a little bit about these holidays. Again, it's another part of this experience is, and I've sort of seen these broadcasts where, but people I know have experienced this live, where you're in Israel on a day of solemn remembrance, and over the course of the day, as evening is setting in, the mood shifts a little bit because you're going from a day of, I'll say frankly, sadness. You're going from a day of memorial and mourning, and then it gets kind of lighter and lighter as the sky gets darker and darker. And next thing you know, you are having this remarkable celebration of independence and concerts and broadcasts and parties and all sorts of things happening. That shift, which I really see is kind of the full range of, let's say, Jewish emotion, right? That's a life fully lived, has sorrow and has joy, has mourning and has celebration. And to encapsulate that for a nation over the period of 48 hours, I think is a remarkable feat. And so I wanted to make sure that you understand that these holidays are coming and what they are all about. Nawa64 in the chat says maybe Memorial Day would be observed more solemnly and honorably than just a bunch of sales and pool openings. So there, sometimes I love it for when people say things that I feel like I can't, in the sense that, yes, I've had that feeling as well, that Memorial Day, at least if you're a Martian landing on this planet, or if you're a space alien landing on this planet and say, hey, I heard that this is a day where they honor fallen soldiers, and it's with mattress sales and used car sales and things like that. Does that seem... Now, I'm not knocking it. If you need to buy a car, or if you're in the car business, you got to do what you got to do. And I've also seen some really incredibly honorable Memorial Day ceremonies and things like that. I live across the street from this really great park, McCambridge Park here in Burbank, that has a beautiful war memorial section in the park. And every year on Memorial Day and also on Veterans Day, you get a big draw for a big event put on by the local veterans and local veterans organizations and things like that. I remember I was there a few years ago, and a friend of mine from my old congregation in Burbank named Mort. Mort was a World War II Navy veteran, lived into his 90s, and then passed away a couple of years ago. And they were already planning on honoring. He passed away right before Memorial Day, I believe. And they were already planning on sort of calling him out and asking him to give a little speech and honoring him as a long-living veteran of World War II. He passed away right before that, but they still kind of included him in memoriam in the ceremony, talking about his record and things like that. So I have seen some really incredible Memorial Day commemoration events in the United States. It's not all sales and hoopla and long weekends and glad I get a day off of work. I think there are people who do an incredible job of honoring our veterans, and I want to call out their energy and their intention. But I'll acknowledge it's not overall. It doesn't have the same solemnity that it does in, let's say, a younger country like Israel. Maybe Memorial Day looked very different when the United States of America was only 71, 72 years old. In, let's say, Abraham Lincoln's time, maybe there certainly weren't as many used car sales, but maybe in Abraham Lincoln's time was a little bit different in how Memorial Day was honored. So let's see. People are asking about my new dog. I said in the beginning of the broadcast, we got a new puppy recently, and I've put some of her pictures on Facebook. Is she asleep again? Really? I think, yeah. I swear she wasn't in a coma when I bought her, or when we adopted her and brought her home. But she's been sleeping a lot. I hear puppies do that, and it's like. This is the first time I've had a puppy. I've had dogs throughout my life, but they were usually adopted when they were, I had a puppy that was I had a dog that was like an older dog when I was born. And that was my first dog. His name was Brownie, Alava Shalom. Good dog, Cocker Spaniel, credit to his breed. And then when I was, a couple of years later, we got a Yorkshire Terrier that I think was already about a year old when we got her. So she was sort of housebroken and trained and all that stuff. Years later, when my sons were growing up, we got a dog who was, I'm going to say it wasn't clear. It was sort of a pound puppy. So it was, let's say 6 months to a year old when we got him. This is our first puppy, and it's a different experience. So if you're interested in getting a puppy, y'all buckle up. I can tell you it's only been about 24 hours since this new addition to our family, but it's been really something. So really appreciate everybody being here. Somebody was asking me what's the dog's name. I swear I answer Jewish questions too. I do. So, but I'm really glad everybody's here no matter what. So somebody was asking me what's its name. The name is Callie, and it's as in the old Tone Loc song, Going Back to Cali. I don't think so. So it's Cali, as in California, because this is a dog for our California living, if you will, because we've been in California for, it'll be 11 years this summer. You know, through wonderful luck and other people's trust, it looks like we're going to be in California for much, much longer, God willing, as I take on this new increasing role at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. We're going to be in California for the foreseeable future, and so we decided to name the dog Callie, and we're pretty happy about that. So thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to ring off here in a second because my daughter needs the bandwidth for her Zoom dance class. But I'm really delighted for everybody who joined us here today, whether you're coming from Pasadena, California, or the foothills, or what are some other places? Arcadia. Arcadia is very popular. Nice Costco in Arcadia. It's been a while since I've been to Costco, but Arcadia has a nice one. So whether you're coming from Pasadena, Altadena, from Arcadia, from Burbank, from Glendale, from Poland, or from Colorado, we're just delighted to have you here. Really appreciate your connecting with PJTC, learning with us. Make sure you tune in to this broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And also make sure you join us for Shabbat this week. We're going to be live streaming our service at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. These are all Pacific times if you're joining us from someplace else. So would love to have you there. And we're not doing a specific service for Yom HaAtzmaut or Yom HaZikaron. Often we do, but this year instead we are sharing some resources. So make sure if you're subscribed to the PJTC email list, make sure you look out for those. Cantor Ruth and I wanted to prepare a special message for you and some links to some resources, different ways that people are celebrating and honoring and just getting together and learning about these great days. So take a look. So look out for that. That should be coming to you soon. In the meantime, it's been my great joy to learn with you. Until next time, heroes, peace.